Okay, and I'm back with to offer some additional constructive information that I've come to learn recently based on recent events that just don't quite make sense with regards to race in the United States and by extension around the world. Uh, what I wanted to kind of discuss today was what I believe is one of the biggest hindrances to racial progress in this country. Well, actually, in all English speaking countries. And that is white solidarity. Um, I often used to wonder, as as a younger person, as a kid, teenager, younger adult, you would hear, white people, and obviously it would have to happen in groups of two or more. One person would say something a little racially insensitive, and then another would immediately come to their defense. Oh, they didn't mean it, or she didn't mean it, or they were just drunk, or they would always come up with an excuse to make them seem like they didn't have any ill intent in what they said or that they weren't being racist. And I was a little confused about that. I always wondered, I'm like, how did they really know what they meant? I mean, are you a mind reader? How do you know what they meant? I mean, can't they speak for themselves? But it was almost like a reflex. They would just do it reflexively. And it happens so often, and it even happens amongst white people that don't even know each other. Um, they always find a way of rationalizing somebody's racist remark. So what I've come to realize, the actual terminology, because I obviously didn't have the language to articulate it before, is what Robin DiAngelo calls white solidarity. And basically what that is the unspoken agreement that we will, obviously white people, will keep each other comfortable around our racism, and we will protect white privilege and not hold each other accountable. Now, if you've been paying attention to anything at all socially about what's going on in the country around the world, you'll notice that whenever the police shoot somebody, you'll have you know a myriad of white people coming to the defense of the white officer, blaming the victim, you know, suggesting that it was justified regardless. They fully rationalize the mistreatment, abuse, and murder of people of color, especially black people. And will back up people that they don't even know. And that always seemed kind of odd. I mean, why would you vouch for somebody you don't know? Until I was introduced to this concept of white solidarity. Robin, of all the people doing work with regards to justice and racism, specifically amongst white people, she seems, there's only a few that I feel are really making an honest effort to offer constructive information and to take an active part in dismantling the system of white supremacy. Um, and the reason I say this, Robin doesn't have a problem acknowledging that within the context of this system that she is actually racist and that it's set up so that everybody who is white is a racist because it's unavoidable. She doesn't have a problem acknowledging that in an open forum. She also doesn't have a problem acknowledging the terminology of white supremacy in an open forum and pointing out, and she's actually really opened my eyes to some things that I didn't even notice before. She shares code. She shares some white codes, obviously like this one, white solidarity. I didn't have the language to articulate it before, but now I do. So obviously that's a tool that we can use and understand. The videos I'm making is primarily for people of color, um, and Robin will acknowledge that white people have a vested interest in keeping the system going. So bearing that in mind, there's no real reason why I can really give uh, anybody who's has an interest in not dismantling it being sincere when they say they do want to dismantle it. And I'll even extend that to Robin herself, um, because when you have an advantage, you never want to give it up voluntarily. But it seems that she's sincere and that she's fighting it. But the reason why I shouldn't, I say you have to be, I guess for lack of a better word, suspicious of, white people alleging to do anti-racist work is that they're under pressure to actually not do it. And they'll be rewarded if they discontinue doing the work. And at any time, if the pressure gets too hot and heavy, they can stop. There's no consequences for them to stop. There's no accountability for them to stop. So you really don't have anything to hold them or to really hold their word to, hold them to a word that they're going to keep doing what they say they're going to do. And I was introduced to a guy, and I had to probably relate in another video of a historical figure in Georgia back in the late 1800s, early 1900s that was, against racism, against white supremacy, and then he switched sides around the beginning of the 20th century. So that has happened. Just because somebody, invokes John Brown doesn't mean they're John Brown. Most people won't take that kind of heat. So you always have to have a certain level of skepticism, a certain level of suspicion for people to do this work. Why would they want to do it? Um, but I do applaud them for providing the information. But you just always have to understand that there's nothing holding them to this work. So just be aware of that. But hopefully this was constructive for you. This is something that will prove to be useful in your day-to-day life in dealing with this system of racism and white supremacy. So until then.